It's based on the works of one of the most beloved authors of all time. It's apparently one of the most expensive TV shows ever made. It's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power on Prime Video. Absolutely no pressure then. Hello and welcome to Screen OD, a channel for people who love TV, movies and entertainment. My name is Tim. I'm an editor and a journalist who's been writing and talking about the entertainment industry for more than 15 years. This is the big one for fantasy fans and for TV fans, to be honest, because this is apparently one of the most expensive TV shows ever made. It is based on Tolkien. It is a return to Middle Earth and it is a story that people want to see told. They're calling it Jeff Bezos' Game of Thrones, and on first inspection, this seems to be Game of Thrones and some. Now, it was only a couple of decades ago that people were still saying it is basically impossible to make a live action version of Middle-earth. You can't be done, we have to just do it with animations and cartoons. But then along came Peter Jackson and along came The Fellowship of the Ring at the turn of the millennium, and everything changed. 3 amazing films were born, a trilogy followed by the Hobbit films, and people fell in love with Tolkien on screen. People who were Tolkien aficionados rejoiced because at last they saw Middle-earth in all the splendour with the huge budget behind it and the amazing actors and the amazing production values that came with it. And then there were people who had never heard of any of these stories who were brought into this world by these movies. Now, 20 years on, we have a TV show that is threatening to do the same again. It is huge. It is epic in proportion. It is something that you feel like you should be watching on a cinema screen. And sometimes you just want to stretch out your TV whilst you're watching it. You want to project it onto the moon because this is something that is visually so amazing. And this is Middle-earth as you have never seen it before. The show is set in the second age of Middle-earth, which is a couple of thousand years before the events of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. We join the action in Valinor. It's a time of peace, it's a time of calm, and it's very much a beautiful place. Now, we meet Galadriel, who is a child at this time, and she is clearly destined for much more. And in classic Tolkien style, we start to see quite quickly time move on and a journey begin for this lead character. We also start to see the world expand because, as we know, it's not going to stay a calm and peaceful place. There is going to have to be movement. There is going to be a world that starts to be filled with darkness, and there are going to be battles ahead. And battles there are.
My brother gave his life hunting the enemy. His task is now mine.
Speak your truth. We already know.
Stand with me. Ours was no chance meeting.
As we move on, we see Galadriel become an adult. She is a warrior. She is a commander in the armies. But this isn't just about her. This isn't just about elves. This is about dwarves. It's about humans. It is about Harfoots, who those who are fans of Hobbits will be pleased to see are featured heavily in this series. This is about the foundations of what we start to see happen later on in the stories that perhaps we're more familiar with. This is a lot going on all at the same time, but at no point does it become confusing. It's a show that is able to move very quickly through time periods and fast forward through lives and to take you out onto that great macro journey that Tolkien's so good at, but at the same time then focus in on conversations, on exchanges that are very important, and suddenly things can slow down again. It does this effortlessly, and I think because it's so beautifully put together, you feel immersed very quickly into this world of Middle-earth. Now, you might expect that a show that's got so much money behind it and so much pressure on it to be a success because of the works that are behind it, that you would have huge Hollywood stars attached to it. You know, in TV these days, it's not uncommon to see some of the biggest names on the small screen, but that isn't the case in this one. It has a huge ensemble cast, really talented cast, putting in great performances, but actually most of them are not global household names. And I think in a way that plays to the strengths of the show because it allows you to be immersed more into this Middle-earth experience in this beautifully put together production, because instead of going, oh, we know that's so-and-so from that film, you know, playing an elf, you kind of just get into it and you just think, well, there's an elf. And I think that that helps a lot.
Choose not the path of fear, but that of faith.
One thing we can do better than any creature in all Middle-earth. We stay true to each other with our hearts even bigger than our feet.
Now, where exactly this is going to go over all of the 10 episodes and how all of these stories are going to start to come together, well, that remains to be seen. And then will there be more over season after season? And can they carry on spending this much money on a TV show? Well, these are all things that remain to be seen. But what is exciting is that you want to know the answer to it. And that means this TV show is definitely doing something right. If you like the works of Tolkien, I think you're going to like this because it's a reimagination of Middle-earth. And that is something that every Tolkien fan wants to see on the screen, especially with such a huge amount of money behind it. If you like fantasy TV shows, I think you're going to like this because it has all the elements that you are looking for in a fantasy. We talked earlier about Game of Thrones and now we've got House of the Dragon. Now, of course, it's very, very different type of show to that, but there are elements that I think fans of those shows will like to see in this one. But actually, I think if you're just a TV fan and you are interested in seeing what, if you almost have a limitless budget, you can do with TV today, go and watch The Lord of the Rings of Power, because I think once you start watching it, you are going to be immersed into it. If I had to find one problem with the show, it would be the title. It's far too long. They should have just called it Lord of the Rings, and then, you know, people would have understood it's on TV rather than the film series, or maybe they're just the Rings of Power. But anyway, that is a small criticism in what is otherwise an excellent piece of television, and one that I think everyone should go and try out. Right, that's review. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya.